Happy video day, guys. Christina, Brooke here. So today we're going to be continuing on some expired makeup saga. So I decided today what I wanted to do was pull 10 products from my archives, 10 products that I looked through Sephora to make sure that I purchased like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I just pulled them out. I still have them. And what we're going to do today is we're going to check and see if they are technically supposed to be expired and see if we see any differences in their consistency, any differences in their formula. Just like, let's check them out. And yeah, some of these I don't know if they are really supposed to be expired. So we're going to go over the expiration dates together because on every single package, they usually tell you the lifespan of a product. And we're going to find out the lifespan and we're going to see if these products are technically expired or not. All right, so before we go ahead and get into this, I have heard from a lot of different people, different thoughts on the expiration dates on products. Most people say, you know, it's just a guideline and I use it for a longer period of time after it's expired, and I kind of agree with you guys, but what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read from the FDA. What does the shelf life and expiration dating of cosmetics mean? A product's shelf life generally means the length of time that you can expect a product to look and act as expected and stay safe for use. This length of time varies depending on the type of product and how it is used and how it is stored. So what factors affect the shelf life? And it's saying dipping your fingers into it. Over time, preservatives can break down. Applicators, especially on mascara wands, that they can be like, they can get bacteria, exposure to moisture, products that can dry out, causing them to be hard or crack, and temperature changes. So this all makes sense. You know, like there would be probably tests done on these products to see how long they actually stay good for and they can perform well. Eye area cosmetics tend to have a shorter shelf life than other products, which may cause eye infections and can be serious. Manufacturers usually recommend discarding mascara 2 to 4 months after purchase. That's because the time a person uses mascara, it's exposed to bacteria and fungi. So the FDA kind of puts it in the hands of the cosmetics company to let their consumers know how long a product should be used for, but they don't really regulate whether the company is doing testing or anything like that. So these are guidelines. So all we know for sure, because obviously since this is like, it's so funny because it's kind of like a gray area, you know, like they let the cosmetics companies do it on their own, but they have to say something because if not, if they're selling products and saying they can last for 10 years and they don't last for 10 years, that could be bad. So it's kind of like, what do you think? Do they put like a shorter lifespan on everything just to be safe? Or is this something that they may have tested and they know after a certain time it doesn't work no more? I personally think that it would probably be like foundations and mascaras and anything that's like liquidy that they probably know, like you don't want to use it after I tell you or a few years after I tell you because it's probably going to go bad on you. But I don't know if that would be like the same for powders and eyeshadows. That would be interesting. If anybody here knows about this stuff, leave your comments down below. So if you're somebody who knows whether like eyeshadows really expire like when they say they do and we really shouldn't be using them, leave that down below because that could be really interesting just to read. But I went ahead and I pulled some, you know, concealers, I pulled foundation, I pulled mascara. I pulled a mascara and I pulled different products from different years that I purchased. So honestly, it's kind of interesting like how we have to kind of decide when we think is okay for us to throw out a product. But you know how hard it is sometimes to remember like how long you've had a product? Like that always happens to me. Like I'm like, how long have I had this? So I'm going to show you guys 10 products that I selectively picked, and I do know that they're from 2 years to 3 years ago. And I looked up the dates that I purchased them, and we're going to see how long they were supposed to have lasted to see how old they're technically supposed to be. So if you are not subscribed already, please don't forget to go ahead and hit subscribe, join the family, and let's get into it right now. I think we should start off with mascara because it seems like this is the most disgusting thing. If you read like what the FDA says, it says like, hey, mascara is gross. Like you should only have it for 4 months. So let's talk about the Mcgrath Labs mascara that I purchased in 2019 of February. So we are in 2021. That's probably disgusting and I probably should never use this again, right? Because they're saying that you shouldn't. And the lifespan on this is 6 months. So this is overdue to be thrown out. Like, technically it is. I think that this, ooh, wow, okay. How interesting. This is so dried out. Oh my God, you know, I haven't opened this. This is extremely dried out. I don't know if you guys can see, like, the hairs and the bristles on this thing are like destroyed because the product itself is so dried out that it literally has completely dried to the spoolie. And yeah, wow. Okay, so this has to be thrown out anyways. Look at that. So definitely the Pat McGrath mascara does not last. Definitely does not last more than it's supposed to. And I mean, they do say 6 months on it. So it really is not, this is definitely not something that has to do with the manufacturer. It has nothing to do with Pat McGrath, because she is saying, hey, only keep this for 6 months. And if you read from the FDA, it says you should only keep them for like 4 months. And this needs to be dumped. So that is actually really interesting. I'm going to go through every single one of my mascaras because I have some that I've had for more than 4 months, and sometimes like I'll say, well, I would just feel like changing out my mascara, and I'll just grab a mascara, but I should know how long I've had those. And I know that maybe the 4-month rule is probably just like a little exaggerated, but I think for a mascara where it's a dark tube that it has a liquid product inside, and you're pulling this out, putting it on your lashes and shoving it back into this hole, you can be creating a nice little hiding area for bacteria. So this is probably something that I would probably say all of us should really be dumping our mascaras and buying brand new ones and only keeping them for, I mean, Pat McGrath says 6 months. So I would say around 6 months for Pat McGrath, maybe 7 months, 8 months, and then throw it out. But yeah, this is getting tossed. So the next thing that we're gonna look into is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Powder. So this is one I've hit pan on. I've been super excited that I hit pan on it. I've talked about this a lot of times, but I actually purchased this in October of 2018. That is a little over 3 years that I've actually had this. So yeah, I mean, it's not really that big of a pan hit for 3 years, to be honest. So what she says is this actually lasts 30 months. That's actually a pretty nice lifespan. So if you really think about it, this powder even makes it a little bit more worth the price tag because of the amount of time that she says that this is good for. Now that's around 2.5 years, and I said that I've had this for around 3 years. So we're talking about a little bit over the expiration date, but definitely not enough for me to like say, oh wow, this is so expired. So that is actually pretty good. So that actually makes me look at this palette and say, wow, you know what? I think that a powder that's worth purchasing is this one, because 30 months is a lot more than I've seen on a lot of powders, and it looks in really, really good condition. And I actually, looking at that, say, oh, you know, I feel fine using this because, you know, you do put this all over your face, you know, so if it is something that might have like bacteria in it, like it's kind of like, ugh, like to think that you're putting like a really old powder on your face. So that's kind of cool. Look at that, it lasts like around 2.5 years. That's pretty okay. So we had one that we had to throw away because it was disgust, and then we have one that I'm like, actually, wow, I might want to use you a little bit longer before I throw you out, and maybe repurchase another one of you because you last a really long time. Shiseido. So this is another one. So let's see when I purchased this. So I think I've had this for quite a while. So for the Shiseido Synchro Skin Concealer, I bought in 2019. 2 years and a little bit more. So maybe 2.5 years. Let's just say 2.5 years. So this actually says that it expires in 24 months, which makes it 2 years. So this is basically expired now, but it's not super expired. And I think that that still feels nice and creamy. It still feels good. Yeah, this seems like it's still really, really good. But at least I know now that I should probably put this on the top of my to use list, because it literally just became expired like a few months ago. So I should probably just use it all up, because what's the point of keeping it in my drawer just not being used when pretty soon it's going to be too old to be used. And it is a cream, so I would be a little bit skeptical of using this for so much longer after expiration date, but I do like that it expires 2 years after use, so that's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my hurry up and use it up before it goes bad on you pile. But that actually made me pretty happy, because I actually thought that that one might be all dried up inside, because, you know, it's been 2.5 years or so. All right, so let's jump into Jouer. So these are some really pretty blushes from Jouer that I've actually had for a little while now. So let's see when I purchased these. A lot of my makeup's actually gonna start going bad pretty soon. So this was in July of 2018. It lasts around 2 years, and we are on to the 3rd year and a little bit more. So this is technically like around a year expired, but I feel like these are still super pigmented. I don't feel like they have anything wrong with them. I feel like I could still use this. Just knowing that it's a year past due though, it's kind of like gets you a little bit weirded out. But I think that these are still in very good condition. And maybe if I keep sticking my fingers into them, then they probably will expire quicker. But I think that they look like they're really good condition. There really is still a lot of pigmentation on them. I think the casing also is really good. It's a very good protective casing. They're cutting the lawn right now. That still looks like it's in good condition. I probably would keep this one for like another 2 years or so. So it's looking to me like my powders, they are looking like they're pretty good. Like they're not really going by this, but it's good to know when things expire, you know? So Huda Beauty's Overachiever. I bought this in 2018. So that's actually 3 years, around 3 years. And I bought it around July, I think it was, around July. So 3 years, and the expiration on this is 12 months. So this is around 2 years, 2.5 years old based off of that. And let's kind of like, let's look a look-see at the product. Yeah, this is still extremely overly pasty and extremely overly covered. So this is still working exactly how I used to work. I don't really like this product, to be honest, because it's just so full coverage and it's just too much for me. And it's just way too much for me. But it looks like it's still good. Everything about it looks like it's in okay shape. And I do feel like the product itself and the interior, this feels like what it used to feel like. Like I don't feel like there's a texture difference in there. Actually, just looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, that just like gave me like a porcelain hand. This is like the most thick, most like coverage concealer that I have. But you know, considering that it's like 3 years old and it really only is supposed to last 1 year, I kind of feel like I'm okay parting ways with this very soon. Get my next declutter. This is probably going to get decluttered because I don't use it. And what's the point of just keeping it there longer and longer? And the older and older it gets, one day when I pick it up, it might be like 6 years old. Like, I don't think you should keep a concealer that long. So that guy might actually get decluttered, and I'm happy that I saw how old it is because that kind of like helps me in my mind say, Christina, you need to part ways. Like, I know you bought this. I know you don't like it. I know you're keeping it just because you bought it, but it's time to say goodbye. Okay, so let's talk about this one because this one I thought was very interesting. My Pat McGrath Mothership 5. I bought this in September of 2018, so this is also around 3 years old. And Mrs. Pat says that her palettes last 18 months. So that's just a little bit over a year. So this would be around 2 years old, right? So what would make this 2 years old? Now, I think that she has an interesting formula that some of hers are kind of creamy. So I mean, I think like this shade right here is not as creamy as it used to be. That for sure. Like I can almost say that one for sure. Like this one does not feel as creamy as it used to be. Just this shade alone. The rest of them, I mean like the glitters and stuff, like I do see a little darkness over the glitters, like if you guys can see, but I don't know if that's just because of usage or whatnot. I don't know if that's just like, actually, that might actually be it getting hardened. You know what I mean? Like if you guys can see, there's like a darkness happening in the center. I thought maybe it was another shadow in there, but it's not coming off, you know, it's just staying there. So it's almost like it's starting to get a little harder panned. Do you guys have any motherships that the glitters are starting to get a little harder panned? This one here almost looks a little brown, like maybe this one has a little shadow in it, but it's kind of weird. It's not really going away. It feels a little harder. Does anybody have that experience? I would like to know that. This one definitely, I feel like the texture has changed a little bit. I think the motherships might actually expire quicker than normal formulas. Like normal palettes might actually expire not as quick as the motherships. That's interesting to know, but it does feel that way, at least from touching the textures. I'm not gonna dump this palette because it cost me so much money, but it is good to know. It's good to know that maybe I should keep my eye out on this first mothership that I bought and see if like some of those glitters start getting like really hard or what's going on there. I'm gonna keep an eye on that because that actually I didn't notice before. Let's talk about the Estee Lauder Double Wear Concealer. So I remember loving this. Actually, guys, this looks old. This looks old. How long have I had this? So April of 2018. So that's over 3 years. So over 3 years old. And how long is the lifespan of this guy? And the interesting thing is Estee Lauder actually does not have on here the lifespan. Let's see, because if you pull this part back, it looks like there is some text in here. Aha! Inside this tricky little thing right here, there is a 24-month lifespan. So 24 months is 2 years, and I've had this over 3 years. So we're talking about a year and some time over. I would say from the exterior, this does look a little bit on the, like, I don't know, it doesn't look very appealing. So I'm assuming that this is on its way out. Let's just do a little swatch and feel it. The consistency actually doesn't feel bad though. A little bit drier than I remember. So I'm pretty sure that this one is getting old. Yeah, for sure this one is getting old. Even the fragrant in it does not smell as strong as it used to, and I could just feel the texture is a little different. It does not look like it's bad, but I think I would probably replace this one already with a brand new one. You're talking about a year and a half more than they suggest that you keep it for, and we don't know how long this was on Sephora's shelves. I think that was something that we should all know for about everything. I mean, I don't know how long this has been on Sephora's shelf, you know? Likely it's from the moment that it's opened, you know, because they probably have some type of stopper or something so that it doesn't go bad. But I think this guy might need to be replaced. So I'm actually happy. I'm happy that I did this. I need to replace this one. So I think I'm going to add this to my list of replacements. I do like that concealer. It was one that I enjoyed, and I think I would like to have it in my collection still. I think I'm going to replenish it though. Okay, so let's jump into Hourglass. So it looks like I actually bought this in 2019 around October time. And this actually says that it stays good for 12 months. So Hourglass has a pretty quick life expectancy on their powders compared to Charlotte Tilbury. That gives you a lot more time. I mean, she's saying 30 months and they're saying 12 months. That's a big difference. So this is definitely bad. So this is technically supposed to be expired. So if I bought this in 2019, it expired in 2020. We're in 2021. So we're talking about a year and some time expired, supposedly, based off of their things. But I would say that this one still feels like it's in good condition. I probably will continue to use this. I'm probably not going to dump this soon. Probably keep this for a little bit longer. For the most part though, it's not like I love this palette. I feel like it's too light for my skin tone. I've realized that I look better in like warmer tones. So I feel like this is probably going to be okay to be on its way out. I'll keep it for a little bit longer, but it is good to know that it's already kind of supposedly expired, and it's just going to get older and older as I keep it. And if I want to use it, I probably should use it soon, and I probably am not going to. So who knows? That might actually end up getting decluttered, which is crazy, but it probably will. All right. All Hours foundation from YSL. I bought this in 2017, guys. I did do a repurchase of this one, so I was kind of confused on the date that I actually bought it. But looking on the bottom, it actually says expires on April of 2019, and we are in 2021. Pretty expired, and I will tell you, it feels expired. This needs to go. This needs to go, and I'm pretty sure that that is true because the other day, I think I tried to use this, and it feels so much thicker than it used to feel on the skin. Like it's hardly even blending out anymore, like almost like it's gotten too much air in it. And when I used it, oh my God, the fragrance doesn't even smell as good. A little damp, I don't know. But anyways, I know that this is probably no longer any good. I know that it's probably no longer any good. It's over 2 years past the expiration date, and I can already kind of feel that texture has lost its way. So yeah, I need to declutter this. So that's good to know too. If I want to keep this one, it's about time to repurchase and eliminate that one for sure. I should not be putting this on my face anymore. I mean, I don't think so. When it comes to foundations, I'm super picky because I do break out. So I don't want anything that has bacteria close to the skin. And final product that we're going to talk about is this one. So we did a Pat McGrath, so let's do a Natasha Denona. I bought the Sunrise in 2018. So this is supposed to last 24 months, which is 2 years. So Natasha Denona's palette, at least these kind compared to the Mothership, last a little longer, a whole year more. This is probably like a year overdue, right? A year over. The only shade looking at it that looks a little bit strange is this one right here, that it almost looks like it got a little hard panned right here on the center. But other than that, the rest of them look like they're in really good shape. All of these look super good. So I think that this one probably holds up a little bit better than the Motherships. At least it looks like it. It's a complete mess because, you know, my palettes are always destroyed because I use them like crazy, but I think this one has actually held up pretty good. And yeah, it's probably like a year old past what their expiration date is, but I think that the eyeshadow palettes, I think they might exaggerate a little bit, but I do think that the motherships probably do go bad faster than the Natasha Denonas, or more than maybe some other palettes. I don't know, that's just a theory. But yeah, so I showed you guys 10 products. Most of them are supposed to be expired based off of their expiration date that they tell us they're supposed to be expired, and you guys saw the results. Most of them don't look expired. I would say that the concealers and the foundations and the mascaras, they are questionable. Questionable for sure. But I think some of the powders, they kind of look like they're still okay. But is that the trick? Is that the trick? Is it that powders never look disgusting and we will keep using them and they're actually gross? I would love to know that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I actually want to do this with more because I'm actually super interested now to know like how old is all my makeup? Like how long have I had these things and how long are they supposed to last for? It's very interesting. But anyways, leave your comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.